Morning, everybody. So, last video from Iowa. If you've watched most of my videos, you know last August I left my job with a railroad in Omaha, Nebraska, and the job I have now allows me to work from home full-time. So we are moving closer to family, which happens to be in Vieira, Florida. So we have a busy week ahead, packing and other things. But the move was going to obviously create some changes in the photography I do and the videos that I'm going to make. And I was hoping to do the last part of the part 2 photo assignment, but due to some other photography related events, I decided to do this instead. When I get to Florida and set up, I'll finish that video. So a couple of things. If you're an avid online photographer, you probably are aware DPReview. Amazon has decided to shut them down. And the two gentlemen who are normally the on camera for DPReview are moving to Petapixel, which is good to hear. But there are also other employees, I'm sure, at DPReview who will be now looking for new jobs. And it's kind of sad, and it's even worse because apparently Amazon decided not just to shut down DPReview as a company, but the statement's been made that they're removing everything, all the content that was out there, which is a real shame. There's a lot of gear reviews, instructional, that kind of stuff. I don't know if they're removing all the YouTube videos, but it would not surprise me. Anyway, so that's kind of a loss to the photography community. Second thing that I ran across in the last couple of weeks, and this individual's not alone. There's, of course, everybody talks about how the phone camera is destroying the camera sales. And to a certain extent, that is true. However, as an observation, what I see is there was a point where the camera companies started making consumer level digital cameras that are high enough quality to produce pro results. And a lot of people may forget this, but part of camera sales started growing before digital cameras. There was a big spike in camera sales. And that spike was generally being caused by the introduction to the consumer market of 35 millimeter shoot and throw away disposable cameras. So, generally speaking, of course, those cameras are gone. And the consumer market tends to have a lot of people who go, oh, I can be a photographer. I can be a pro photographer. And I can, get a cheap camera and cheap lenses and go run with the big boys. Well, the reality is there's a reason people pay for pro photography. Now, there are other items of business evolution that, yes, have reduced the number of pro photographer jobs. Newspapers typically don't hire a pro photographer anymore. But there are other areas where pro photographers aren't increasing in number. And also, some of this is due to the availability of disposable income. We now have pro photographers. Well, and my definition of a pro photographer is somebody who makes money using a camera. So that's wedding, sports, architecture, landscape. But, we've seen a rise in pet photographers. So, and they have been correlating with smartphone camera sales and the decline in sales of digital cameras. And there is some truth to that. But I think what's happening is we are now at the point where when you're spending more for a phone than you need to spend on a high quality digital camera, people aren't spending money on the high quality digital camera or the requisite lenses that go with it. So I think in terms of if you're trying to become a pro photographer and you want to make a living as a pro photographer, there is still opportunities out there for you to do so. Now, those opportunities aren't going to be what they were perhaps 10 years ago. And yes, there's always the bubble of people who have set up YouTube channels, myself included. I make no money off of this channel. I do it as a personal hobby. So anyway, but it is possible for people entering the photography business to make money. Now, how you make that money might be a little different than what you were expecting. But as with any business, two factors that impact, well, I guess maybe three factors that impact how much money you make in an endeavor. And photography is no different. It's what you put in. I was shooting weddings. I was making good money at it, but I wasn't making the same amount of money as I do as a sysadmin or systems engineer. And part of that difference is the amount of time that I have devoted to being a systems engineer versus the amount of time that I have devoted to photography. And I've spent a fair amount of time doing photography. And I could probably, at this point, go back and make a reasonable living as a wedding photographer and things like that. As I'm older and have more experience doing things. But, I make really good money as a systems engineer. So it doesn't make a whole lot of financial sense unless I'm just absolutely done with being a systems engineer. And it almost came to that point. So, anyway, moving on. So yes, we're seeing a drop in digital camera sales, dedicated digital cameras. And I think the biggest portion of that drop, however, is in the consumer level digital camera sales. And there's kind of a reason for that. The market is flush with consumer grade digital cameras. The pro level, however, still exists. And it is returned to the pre-consumer disposable 35mm camera. So I don't really expect to see it go much lower than that. And while a lot of people may bemoan that fact, I think it's a return to a separation of pro photographers versus enthusiasts. So, for the time being, I would consider myself an enthusiast who, as an enthusiast, I buy used gear that is quite capable of taking professional pictures. So at any given time, I can, if I wanted to, go make a living in photography. So that's just my 2 cents worth. I think we're kind of at the bottom of so-called camera sales. I think what's going to happen is you're probably going to see consumer level cameras, digital cameras with pro qualities. You're probably not going to see too many more of those being released. Camera companies might release one, who knows, every 3, 4, 5 years. And if you want a good example of, pro versus consumer, there's a camera company that practically should have probably gone out of business years ago. However, some enthusiasts and a lot of pros still buy cameras from, and that's Leica, myself included. I have a Leica. I intend to buy another Leica in the near future. So these are cameras that are, when you compare feature to feature, they are significantly more expensive. But until you've actually held and taken pictures with a Leica, nobody can explain it to you, the difference. There's something about Leica cameras that it is a unique experience, and the images you get are, with practice, of course, going to provide you the best, I think, that particular set of equipment will provide you. Anyway, I digress. No, Leica hasn't sponsored any videos. If they want to, that would be awesome, but yeah, I doubt it. Anyway, so yeah, anybody out there who's looking to get into photography as a career, it's an open door. You can do it. So anyway, so coming to the changes in the channel, of course, we'll have Florida pictures. But with the absence of DPReview, I'm going to search out and potentially, and I'm sure other photographers are potentially going to do the same thing. I don't have a whole lot of resources, so but what I thought I might do as one thing is, when I get to our new location in Florida and get everything set up, I might start renting various camera models. Maybe I won't be able to do one once a month, but I might be able to do one once a quarter. Rent a camera, a couple of lenses, and take those out, take them, walk around with that camera for a bit, and kind of do reviews of that equipment. I also have additional cameras that I have not reviewed yet. They're film cameras, so I've got them put away, and I will bring them out and start shooting with those. So anyway, that's all for now. I just wanted to throw that out there, and hope you guys have a great day and a great week, and I'll see you from Florida. Bye.